Freedom defined. There is if you ever watch people marching down this, like, I'm not saying everyone's marching, but if you watch some of the marches, the people have their anthem is about freedom, right? Where we have freedom of speech or freedom to demonstrate, freedom from the oppressor, freedom to live as one chooses. There's so many different uh, facets as to what we would consider freedom and what it really means to be completely free. The people who choose to be free from everything that would hold them back and that where they are able to infringe on other people's freedom, that is not freedom. Okay. And then there are people who will basically see freedom as, look, man, I ain't hurt nobody. I'm doing my own thing. I'm in my own lane, and I don't need anybody to be telling me how to live, where to be, what to do, and how to speak. Right? There's so many variables involved, so we make people think they're free. The Bible says that the one who is a slave to sin is definitely in bondage to it. And as an example, whatever ties you or you're tied to that you think gives you freedom, it really is your leader, your controller, and in some cases, your oppressor. It may take some time before you finally realize that what you consider freedom to be is really not freedom, is basically your interpretation that you're free, and you're not. Being freed from sin, for example, the effects of sin doesn't just go as to what people are doing. I mean, we have a religious world that tries to put an emphasis that, well, if the person is drinking too much, they're smoking too much, or they're doing this or they're doing that, that means they live in sin, right? Or they're saying, if you're, and I agree with this, because if you're a fornicator, you're basically considered not a person free, because you're bound by the hold of sexuality or drugs or alcohol or whatever the case is. And whatever holds you really does not give you the freedom to live, because it keeps you in a consistent spiral down, right? And again, the area of sexuality, for instance, people will join themselves to other people, and because they don't see clearly enough, they think of course, they have the complete freedom to do as they please. They're with that person, and that person slowly brings them into their own domain or dominion, right? So little by little, that person who thought they were free to choose ends up with somebody whom they've chosen to slowly corrupt them and bring them into decay. The very person that they're with, they thought they can basically have all this, like, everything is also clear and beautiful, and right. And that person that they're with, they talk and laugh, and they have all this great time. They spread their arms around. In reality, none of us really is free enough to even see the stuff going on in other people, that where they come telling us and selling us that they're free, right? True freedom is when you are able to make intelligent choices, and you've taken a pathway of high discipline. The thing is, a perspective of birds, for instance, are so much different than the perspective of human beings walking the face of this earth. And a bird eye view sees much more than what a human being walking with their two eyes will see, right? Excuse me, they've got some dogs upstairs that are just barking away. Hopefully it doesn't affect your attention from where I'm going with this. When you find yourself in a zone of freedom, and I press this because I really do believe in it. When God has the ultimate bird's eye view, right? And they basically said he's like the one who puts his wings over you like the eagle, right? And he gives you a different ability and a different reality than what you would have seen otherwise. And being freed from everything that holds you down to this earth is the absolute freedom you'll ever have. When you're freed from seeking after things that eventually will own you when you thought you owned it, when you're freed completely from going after something and you're free to go get it, and then when you get it, it loses its charm over you, and you've basically, in so many ways, you've paid a price to get it. True freedom will never get you to pay a price. The ultimate price that was ever paid for every one of us is one that God, through his son, paid for us. And the price that God asks of us, okay, and it is a price, it's a cost, is to give up the things that we think are worthy when in reality they're worthless. So it's not really a cost on your part. After a while, you realize, no, what it's really costing you is your time, your soul, and every part of the investment in the future you could have otherwise put your attention into. For instance, we're sold a bill of goods where we're saying, I mean, marriage is honorable amongst all, but in these days, because we don't live in a very controlled society and reality or community where people are bred a certain way, we have so many variations of different personalities and characters and people with different values on the face of this earth. And when you join yourself to somebody else under the guidance of marriage, you're giving up, even though you think you just experienced freedom in a different reality. You've given up your freedom. You give up your freedom when you will spend so much money on something that is just a thing. Jesus says that it is not worth it to spend your time, your money, your investment on that which will rust eventually, or clothing which will the moth or will basically be eaten up eventually. Even having the freedom to flex your muscles and to think that your body gives you the freedom to do this, that, and the other. And some people actually rely so much on their looks and their position in their life to give them the freedom. And what they really end up with is that only in a different part of the room, the large room of reality, they end up in one part of that room claiming that they're free now. The fight for freedom all through history is something that has definitely accommodated people to the point that they became servants of the cause. People fighting for their country rights, their flag, their rights basically under cultural differences are not freedom, it's bondage. Because I believe the only true freedom you'll ever have in this life is when you're completely detached as a soul person, a soul traveler on the face of this earth, and where you're basically just like have the guidance system. And trust me, this is freedom. Because when you have a guidance system that leads you into the depths of darkness, that was not freedom to begin with. But when you have a guidance system that eventually throughout the years, way down in the future, made you more lighter, made life more easier, made through the discipline. And the thing is about discipline through in the arena of being righteous and upright and practicing righteousness. That discipline is freedom. That brings true freedom. And freedom cannot come in so many different facets based on our perceptions of what we think freedom is. And the ultimate freedom you'll ever have in this life is to really be on your knees and ask God to show you what is free. Jesus put it this way. He says, "So whom the Son of Man sets free is free indeed." He didn't just leave it to just be free, but he says, no, free indeed. Like we're talking, this is, you couldn't get more immaculate than this. It is the ultimate. It is the highest sphere of freedom, something that the animal kingdom knows, the eagle knows. The even says in the Bible how he teaches the animals and the birds to do certain things at different times of the year, to be taught by God. Mankind, by the way, is probably the only member of God's creation who have to come back and humble themselves and find the natural ability to communicate with God once again. Animals, it's easy. They call it's their instincts, their survival instincts. They just have a second knowing, a sixth knowing, or whatever. Well, we can have that knowing too, the ability to be led by God's Spirit. See, and that's where the Bible says that those who are led by the Spirit of God are children of God. And he goes on to say that blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. To have ultimate peace in your life, to have absolute peace in your life is true freedom. So I'll just leave you with that, something to think about and to inspire you. And you all have a good day. And whatever peace may mean to you as an individual is that you find it, but you don't find it by things and people and recognition and what other ways do you think that freedom means to you. There is something called true freedom, and your journey is to find it and to live it and to become it. Have a good day and do like and subscribe. Thank you.